Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm the King, and welcome back to the channel. Today, as you can see in front of us, we have the leaked Dead by Daylight patch notes. As you guys know, today we were actually supposed to get the PTB, however, it's been postponed until tomorrow, but we still have our hands on all of the changes with numbers. Before we received all of the changes, we just knew what they were about, but we didn't actually have any numbers or anything significant to base them off of. So today we have all the numbers and we're going to be talking about all of this. So we're going to go ahead and jump on into this. Make sure you guys do subscribe down below if you are new to the channel though. We are nearing 100,000 subscribers. So hopefully we can hit that by the end of the year. So make sure you hit the subscribe button down below if you enjoy at any point. So let's talk about these changes. Balance for the Cannibal. We've made the video showing the gameplay and everything like this already, so if you are interested in that, you will be able to see that on the other video. Long story short, he uses his chainsaw, he has charges. If you use the charges, you'll be able to use your chainsaw even more. And the more charges are used, the longer the miss cooldown and tantrum if you collide with an obstacle. But here are the numbers. The Cannibal starts with 3 charges. Triggering the chainsaw will start a chainsaw sweep that lasts 2 seconds. During this, each charge used after that will reset the chainsaw sweep time back to 2 seconds. For each additional charge uses increases the missed chainsaw attack cooldown / tantrum duration by 1 second. Charges refill at a rate of 1 every 4 seconds when the chainsaw is not being used. So now we know how fast it'll be recharged. And the Cannibal's maximum speed for the chainsaw sweep is increased to 5.29 meters per second from 5.6. Now, I don't know what that is in percentage. So we don't know if that's like 115, 110, 100, whatever the case may be. So we'll have to see. Furthermore, if the Cannibal revs the chainsaw for too long, a tantrum will automatically be triggered for a base duration of 5 seconds. When a tantrum is triggered, all remaining charges are consumed. So that's pretty interesting to know as well. And they said the Cannibal updated most of his add-ons. So I'm assuming things like carburetor tuning guide and primer bulb and things like that would still remain the same, as it still would affect charge time, but all the other ones would affect, you know, the speed at which the chainsaw is being used. It will affect the cooldown between using your chainsaw charges. It will also affect the tantrum rate. I think we already had something like that, but there will probably be one of them that's just base. Next up on the list is the Hillbilly changes. So they said added the overheat mechanic. Using the chainsaw will now build up heat. When reaching the maximum amount of heat, the chainsaw overheats and cannot be used until it has cooled off. In numbers, the chainsaw heat meter starts at 0. Starting a rev adds 5 seconds. Actively revving adds 10 charges per second. So that is essentially using the chainsaw as an offensive weapon. If you do it like that, then you will be penalized. So when it comes down to breaking pallets and things like that, using your chainsaw will no longer be efficient because you'll be hindering yourself when trying to use it at any time. Actively sprinting adds 2 charges per second, so sprinting and revving are fine. You're meant to just go around the map and fly around with it, but just holding your chainsaw and waiting to get that perfect hit, you'll be penalized for. So those players that are accustomed to curving and things like that, it's going to add 10 charges per second, which means if you take a look at the bottom, if the heat meter reaches 100, the chainsaw overheats. If you hold your chainsaw for 10 seconds, you will have to let it cool down. When not using the chainsaw, the heat meter goes down at a rate of negative 3.5 charges a second. When the chainsaw overheats, the heat meter dissipates at a rate of negative 6.6 charges per second. So it looks like if your chainsaw does overheat, it recharges faster. So in certain situations, that might be something that you might want to do. But I believe the chainsaw also needs to go down all the way until 0 before you can use it again. If the chainsaw overheats during the chainsaw sprint, the sprint will not be interrupted. The chainsaw goes through the cooldown phase after the sprint has ended. The Hillbilly updated most of his add-ons as well. So that was something that I was curious about. So they're probably going to put in add-ons to affect the cooldown, to affect how much revving and sprinting does. That's probably one of the ultra rares. Carburetor tuning guide might be the same, or that might actually be the new ultra rare. But what I'm thinking is that it's something similar to carburetor tuning guide, but just affects all of the Hillbilly's revving time and things like that. So it might be like considerably decreases the cooldown between uses, or considerably decreases the amount of charges that are added per second when revving your chainsaw. And then, of course, we have all of the perks that they fixed. We've mentioned this before with Franklin's. If your item is dropped on the floor for too long, the entity will take it. Knockout, if you hit someone with your basic attack, no one will be able to see them. They'll also be crawling 50% slower and for 15 seconds. During this time, they're also affected by blindness and Lightborn, which grants you full-on immunity to flashlights and firecracker survivors attempting to blind you. Their aura will be revealed to up to 10 seconds. And Tinker now triggers at 70% and grants you the undetectable effect for 16 seconds. So they upped the undetectable time. They also downed the time that it takes to trigger Tinkerer, which is actually a big buff to the perk. It's going to work really well for a lot of builds. Everything else will is basically bug fixes that they talk about here. You guys can pause the video and take a look at it. One thing I want to focus on is this right here. I just actually noticed this because I play on a 4K monitor. For those of you guys that do play on a 4K monitor, this is what they are saying. Reverted the UI scale back to pre 4.0.0. We were a bit too overzealous with the scale value and have set it back to the original size, and it was adversely affecting players on 144p. However, this means that players in 4K will temporarily have a smaller UI for the duration of the PTB. Our intention for release is to implement an increased UI scale for players using 4K resolutions. Players playing in 144p and below will continue to remain on the pre 4.0 size. So that means players that are playing on a 4K monitor will have a UI scale that they can use, which is amazing because I love my small perks. So that is going to be awesome. Everything else is basically bug fixes in here, not too much that we need to talk about, and they added a promo code system. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the brand new update of the PTB. If you want to take a look at this, this will be out tomorrow on PC only. Again, we're going to have a bunch of videos breaking down the Hillbilly, breaking down the Cannibal, breaking down some of the perks, and all of the other cool things that are going to be incorporated with this. Make sure you guys do subscribe if you do enjoy. And remember, we are live on Twitch right now, so make sure you do come on out. We're going to be doing a Ghostface cosplay, so that's going to be awesome. I'm going to quickly edit this video, get it out for you guys, and we'll see you on the stream. I hope you all have a